I'm a fifth year doing big law patent litigation in California, but I'm planning to move to Pittsburgh for family reasons. In an ideal world, I continue doing sexy non-troll IP litigation, but that is not likely to be a realistic option. Based on my internet sleuthing, it seems like most of the litigation work is done out of other office, and those in Pittsburgh that do patents are also doing some amount of tech transactions as a prosecutor as well. I'm happy to pick up some non-patent litigation, but would like to avoid prosecution. I know I have to temper my expectations somewhat, but I'm curious what my options are realistic. So here's how it works. And this is important for everyone on the call to understand, because it's something that a lot of people don't understand. Major markets, which are places like Palo Alto, I would say, New York and so forth, you get specialists. That means you could be doing like not general corporate, you might do just capital markets or biotech company, just something very specialized, not patent litigation, I don't know, computer chip related, numeric related patent litigation. So the more major market you're in, the more the firms are going to do a lot of different types of work. What happens is when big companies have issues, big companies send work to large markets to hire specialists or boutique firms in those markets. And that's for everything. So when you get into a mid-sized market to smaller markets and firms, you're going to get people that are more generalist, not patent litigation like this person is saying, but patents, trademarks, marks, and patent litigation. That's just how it tends to work in mid-sized to smaller markets and firms. So one of the benefits, like this person asked originally, should I go to this smaller firm? If you become an expert in something like patent litigation, this person sounds like they're doing very good work, and you develop that skill set, that's something that not a lot of people have. And if this person goes to Pittsburgh, which would be like Pittsburgh or Detroit, they're going to be doing more generalist type work. And that's the drawback. Now, if you want to do specialist type work, you typically need to do one of two things. The benefits of smaller markets, this is a whole other thing, is it can be easier to get clients, but the clients will be smaller. So those are just some things. And then the major markets, it can be harder to get clients, but the clients will have a need for someone that's more specialized. And this person is even saying with this question that they might even have to do just general types of litigation. This is a really good question. This is one of the reasons that people go to major markets and they go to mid-size and go to smaller firms because they like the variety of work or they want to specialize. If you specialize in a major market, the benefit of specialization is you become a real expert in whatever your practice area is, like this person is. And these firms can charge higher rates because they're specialists. And these charge lower rates because the people are doing a bunch of different things. And then in the smallest markets, your attorneys will do everything, which means divorce, corporate, personal injury, criminal. So if you're working in a small town, that's what it would be, something along those lines. So those are just things to think about. And that's the difference between smaller markets and smaller firms. One thing I can tell you, this is crucial. Anyone that comes into BCG attorney search in a law firm, the most part, is placeable, with one exception. It doesn't matter what practice area they're in. They could be doing workers' compensation. I make workers' compensation placements. They could be doing trust and estates, insurance, complex litigation, whatever. It doesn't matter. Anybody that comes into BCG is placeable. There's only one exception to that if they're in a law firm, sometimes even not in a law firm quite often. So anybody that's on this call anybody that comes into BCG that is a practicing attorney has more than 1 year of law firm space. Anybody. I honestly mean that. It's anybody on this call is placeable by a recruiter, or you can get a job on your own too. The only exception to that, this is very important because this is about your particular marketability. And so I want everyone to make sure you understand this as well as possible. This may be one of the more important things you ever hear. Probably not. It's an important thing. The only exception are people doing all sorts of different practice areas that have no specialty. If you're doing like family law and criminal, family law and corporate, no. Corporate and litigation, no. If you're doing patent, maybe patent and trademark would be okay, but patent and patent litigation, not as good. When I start getting confused and like the only time I can't work with someone personally, every attorney is marketable, like pretty much. But if you're doing a bunch of different things, or if you have a history of doing different practice areas, meaning you've done all these practice areas throughout your career, it's not good. So almost all law firms want specialists of some sort. And that is what makes you marketable. I was reading the other day that the highest paid specialty is medical malpractice. These are not people that went to Harvard Law School or top 10 law schools. I'm not saying that they don't. Of course they do. Every practice area is marketable, but you have to have a practice area. You have to settle on something. And you can't do transactional and litigation. No. You have to do something that makes sense. An environmental attorney with 20 years of experience is marketable. Everybody's marketable. But if you're doing multiple things, you're not marketable. I want to emphasize that to you. And the problem when you go into smaller markets many times is if you're doing something that's not marketable, then, it's a problem. Like I had this woman recently that was I think she was in Colorado, and she wanted to move to Wisconsin and got like 20 interviews and no book of business or anything, 15 years out of law school. But she's doing family law, but she's doing that. It doesn't matter what your practice area is. You just need to have one. And you could have maritime, you could have railroad law. But if you have a practice area, then you're always going to be in much better shape. That was a great question, by the way. And I hope that this answer helped everyone, because that's the one mistake that people make, is they think it's very interesting to have a lot of variety in things. But if you commit to any practice area, even one you don't think is a very prestigious practice area, you're going to be 10 times better off in the long run in your career.